Hi, Year 12. It's Miss Rickaby here, and just talking to you today about your careers appointments that you've got coming up. So, lots of you will know me, be it from being in NSB internally in the lower school, or from any of the bits and bobs that I do with sixth form and Year 12 already. So I'm just going to talk to you about your careers appointments. You will all, between now and the end of the year, have a one-to-one careers appointment that will last 45 minutes. And this presentation is going to go through what the kind of appointment involves, what to expect, what you can expect to get out of it, what you could do to prepare, how we can help you, and any other bits of information that I think of along the way. So the first thing really to think about is, what is a career? And I think sometimes people think that career fits into a bit of a box. It's a profession, being a teacher, being a doctor, it's your occupation. Very kind of black and white concepts of what a career is. But actually, a career is about your accomplishments, your progress, your actions, having different jobs that form part of your career journey. And I suppose it's the opposite of the question, what is a job? Those words that we have at the top of the screen, those are the answer to that question, what is a job? A job is one role that you do. Your career is the journey that you take from whether you decide to get a job at 16, part-time job, or you go straight into a job at 18 out of school. That job that you do, that position that you hold that earns you money, will change, will adapt over the years. You will progress through things, you will do different jobs, you will achieve different things, you will move in and out of different industries. That's what a career is. And this appointment that you have coming up is the very first sort of stepping stone for you on that journey, that career journey. So on the screen, you've got a graphic that probably gives an overview of sort of what you're thinking, your current thinking might be about careers. And what's really important is that you understand that you can feel all of those emotions, but that kind of burying your head in the sand isn't going to fix it. And to help you to alleviate those feelings of confusion or uncertainty, you have to start exploring and kind of putting in a bit of research, a bit of legwork to figure out what your next step might be. Your career journey has actually already started based on the subjects that you've chosen to do for GCSE, based on what you're good at, what you enjoy, the grades you're achieving, your hobbies and interests in school, out of school, the work experience that you've done, any volunteering that you do, and also something that people rarely realise. It's about what's important to you. What are your values? Do they align with a certain type of role, industry, company? All of these things influence your career. As with any journey, there's different routes to get there, and your journey will chop and change, and your destination might change along the way. You might have stops, you might have blocks in the road, but all of these things will upskill you and allow you to continue that career journey. It is not a linear process. It is a very higgledy-piggledy process, and it can be confusing and overwhelming, but the most important thing you can do is talk to people. So at this stage, you can be talking to family, you can be talking to friends, you can be talking to your form tutor, a subject teacher, the careers advisor, me as the careers leader, Mrs. Tilley as our work experience lead. You can explore online, you can start to look at things on the internet, on social media. You can look within your peers, within your network, at a club you might do outside of school. All of these people, all of these resources will have valuable advice that can help you to gain that sense of direction that you currently might not think you've got. Okay, so we've looked at those concepts of what is a career, what is a job, how you might be feeling about all of these things. And now it's really important for us to kind of pin down the aims of these appointments. Okay, so the principal aim of the appointment is to support your career thinking as you move forward. So progressing through the rest of year 12, heading into year 13, and then thinking about what applications you want to make post 18. And it's about us helping you to navigate through, you might be considering a couple of different options, and it's how we can help you to navigate through those and support you. The journey ahead of you, for some of you, might be really simple. You might have really clear ideas. You're taking the right A levels. It's a clear path for you. Others of you might be thinking, I'm taking specific A levels, but actually I'm thinking I might want to change what I do. Do I need to look at, how I can adapt my current studies to get into the university course I want to? Some of you might be sitting there thinking, well, I'm getting through A levels and I'm just about keeping my head above water. I've got no idea what I want to do after year 13. Whatever scenario or situation you're in, we're here to help. And these appointments are going to help you to kind of sift through some of those thoughts you might have and start making a plan. We're going to look at what's influencing you currently, what might influence you in the future, and the steps that you need to take thinking ahead to year 13 and post 18 applications. As I said, looking at ideas and aspirations, and the most important thing is that it's about supporting you in making those decisions and giving you really clear actions and steps that you need to take to make the things that you want to happen. Most importantly, it is your appointment, okay? And it's really important that you go into it knowing that, and also having an idea about what you want to get out of it, okay? It's not just about what the expertise that we as a team can offer to you. It is really about, what do you want to know? What do you want us to help you with? And if you come in with some really clear ideas about that before the appointment, they will be much more structured for you, and we can probably get into the real heart of the issue of whatever decisions it is that you're making much quicker. So, one of the first things that you will speak about with Mrs. Howard or Mrs. Hinton is thinking about the next best choice for you at the end of year 13. Could it be an apprenticeship, university, entrepreneurship, going straight into a career? There's so many different options. And these are some of the things that will be explored within your appointment. So motivation and readiness to think about careers. If you go into the appointment feeling a little bit hesitant, it's going to make the discussion a little bit more static and potentially more difficult. Okay, so go in there, open mind, just see how it goes if you're nervous. Thinking about careers, ideas and aspirations, it's fine if you don't have any of that kind of fixed yet. Thinking about what you like, what you're interested in, what you're good at, your strengths, your skills. Values, passion, and what's important to you are really, really important, and they're really good places to start if you're a little bit without direction, let's say, and still weighing up lots of options. Looking at personality, looking at learning style, looking at what influences you, who's in your network, who can influence you, and taking all of these things into account. And then thinking about how you make the decisions that ultimately you're going to have to make over the next sort of year to 18 months to take you on those next steps. We'll also point you in the direction of where to start doing research, how to do the research, and after your appointment, you'll be given a follow-up document that will be filled in by either Mrs. Howard or Mrs. Hinton, and it will have lots of information. It will have details of what you discussed, and it will have links to websites that can help you with your decision making, and all of that will be available to you in your Unifrog profile. So you might have some thoughts, like some of these things that you can see on the screen now. It is absolutely fine if you've changed your mind about what you want to do. It is absolutely fine if you have not got a clue what that next step might look like, if you're totally unsure. It's absolutely fine if all of your friends have a really clear path for next year and you don't. Don't ever think that everyone else has a plan, that you're the only person without one, because that isn't the case. You can change your mind at various points throughout the next year, throughout your career journey, but you just have to be prepared that changing your mind might come with difficult decisions along the way and potentially challenging conversations, and these appointments are all designed to help you navigate some of those more difficult conversations. So we've already talked about kind of making the most of your appointment, and this is just to really reiterate that point. Okay, so be honest with yourself, be honest with Mrs. Howard or Mrs. Hinton. Where are you at? How can we help? There is no right or wrong position to be in at this point. Trust me. The most important thing is just to go into the appointment being honest, being open with Mrs. Howard or Mrs. Hinton, and just explaining, look, this is where I'm at, this is the help I need, and then we will help you in whatever way we can. So be honest about where you're at in your thinking, the concerns and the doubts that you've got. Be receptive to the feedback, be open to challenge. Part of the job of us as a careers team is to challenge your thinking, to propose alternative solutions, scenarios, suggestions. because there might be an option out there that you haven't thought of yet that we can then put forward to you. It's about being curious. It's about being willing and prepared to explore, to do the research, but also about taking accountability for your next steps. Some of you might be thinking about joining our apprenticeship academy, and that requires actually a lot of work on your behalf. We will help you and support you through every step of it, but you've got to also be willing to put in, work yourself and sort of meet us in the middle. So, those of you that came to NSB sort of 7 to 11, you will have already had a careers appointment, most likely with Mrs. Howard last year, or potentially with one of the other careers advisors that we had previously. And those of you that have joined us from other schools, you may not have been fortunate enough to have a careers appointment at your old school, or you may have been. What's really important is that now everyone in year 12 is going to get this opportunity to have the appointment, okay? So it's 45 minutes, one-to-one, and on the screen you can just see an idea of what other people have said about their careers appointments, okay? And if you go on to our careers Instagram page, it's NSB Careers, you can also see some kind of feedback there from students, some profiles about what other students have said, how Mrs. Howard and Mrs. Hinton have helped them. And I think a lot of the work that they do goes unnoticed. Obviously it's what we're all here for. We're happy to help, but sometimes I think it's really important for you guys to see from other students, these are literally things that other students have said, how these appointments have helped them. And hopefully it helps to just make the appointment a little bit more tangible for you, and give it a bit more context. Okay, so we've gone through the what, the why, etc., etc. But now, the really important stuff ultimately for you to be able to access any of the rest of the stuff that I've talked about is the who, the where, and the when. So you will have a 45-minute one-to-one appointment with either Mrs. Howard or Mrs. Hinton. So Mrs. Howard works Monday to Wednesday, Mrs. Hinton works Thursday, Friday. And your appointment will take place in the office, the Careers Advisor's office, which is the office at the back of the downstairs sixth form centre, the one next to the heads of year office. It's got the big glass window on it, okay? And if you get to the sixth form centre and you're not sure where you're going, speak to Mr. Green and he will point you in the right direction. You will be notified via an email from Unifrog, so you need to be looking up for your Unifrog email a few days in advance, and your form tutors get a weekly and daily reminder of who's got an appointment, and they will also be able to remind you, okay? Your one-to-one appointment will be scheduled in a free or a study period, and so if you're due to be in the study centre, Mr. Green will also have that list, and if he sees you on the register and he sees one of you but knows that actually you're meant to be in your appointment, he'll come over and he'll say to you, you've got your careers appointment, don't forget, and off you'll go, okay? So hopefully you won't miss it. Everybody in year 12 will have an appointment between now and the end of the year. We work through it pretty methodically, but if you're kind of sitting there having listened to this and thinking, I'd really like to get my appointment done sooner rather than later because I'm panicking, because I've got lots of questions, whatever it might be, get in touch with us. Either come and see myself and Mrs. Tilley up in the careers office in Cripps next to languages, or speak to Mrs. Howard and Mrs. Hinton. They're down right next to you in the sixth form centre, and if you need a priority appointment, we can organise that for you, okay? Something that I need to make really, really clear to you is that this appointment is compulsory, okay? So the school has a legal duty to provide careers guidance to every single student in the sixth form. Okay, so in the same way that we have a legal requirement to take a register at the start of the day, take a register in every lesson, keep you safe, all the usual stuff, we also have a legal requirement to make sure that you have one of these appointments. Okay, so please, please, please treat them with the gravitas that they deserve. And make sure you come along, because if you're off school because you're ill, whatever, we can reschedule you. But if you just forget to show up or whatever, then it has a knock-on effect, okay? There's a lot more of you than there are of us in the careers team, so it takes a lot of work for us to get through everybody. And on that being said, with the compulsory element, it doesn't mean that if you've got the free or the study period, you can go off site and not attend the appointment. If your appointment is scheduled, you have to do that rather than going home or going to the shop to get whatever you're going to get. So Obviously, we know that we're talking post-18 applications, but these appointments can also probably be really, really helpful for you in terms of thinking about your work experience, getting ahead, preparing. You know it's coming up at the end of the year, so you can also use these one-to-one appointments to discuss your work experience and get some ideas and some help. Your form tutor will shortly give you a copy of both of these documents. So on the left-hand side, you've got kind of a synopsis of what is a careers appointment, what to expect, what you're going to talk about, how to get the most out of it. And on the right-hand side, you've got something that's a little bit more interactive that you can do if you want to, okay? So there's a couple of videos at the top that you can watch. The Catherine Yennick one, I think, is really good. Have a watch through that with parents, carers, whoever's taking care of you at home. Just quickly, this presentation is also going home along with loads of information, so be prepared to discuss it around the dinner table at some point over the next week or so. And if you have any questions in the meantime, come and see me, C24, or come to the careers office, which is upstairs next to the languages team base, not to be confused with the careers advisor office, which remember is downstairs of the sixth form centre. I hope you get loads out of your careers appointments, and I can't wait to hear about all the plans you make following your appointments.